All right, everyone, we have breaking news from literally the last half hour, which is Trump tweeted out, and everyone's jumping down his throat right now. It's really funny to see the propaganda scrambled for cover. He's like, well, we're going to look into the Twitter shadow banning of prominent Republicans. This is potentially illegal. It's a big problem. The only thing that I want him to do is go a lot further than that. The principle, looking at how people are being suppressed through dumb algorithms, not even always in a directional manner. Going through, that's a really good idea, but you need to take it further. It's not just Twitter. It's not just shadow banning that's utilized. It's not just prominent individuals suffering, and it's certainly not just Republicans. Like, I'm kind of prominent, like in an online sense, but I'm not, I'm not Bob Dole or something. And I've got a quality filter shadow ban on some of my material on Twitter. I also get, sort of, manipulated results when I use Facebook, increasingly rare. Can't wait to talk about that, by the way. Big news of the day. Facebook's basically plummeting at the moment. And this is in the wake, 24 hours after the New York Times comes out applauding them for their efforts at censoring people, they start to collapse on shitty earnings reports, and it's just like, fucking hilarious. But Trump needs to go further. I strongly support the concept of attempting to stop censorship. And really, that's what we're dealing with. We're not dealing with, hey, we're trying to be family friendly. Twitter, family friendly. There's porn on the site. Stop it. We're trying to, take care of fake news. No, you're trying to manipulate people's reality. It is just propaganda and censorship. That's all it will ever be. The fact that you're a private entity legally entitled to engage in such behavior, possibly, although they're still kind of up in the air according to several lawsuits, doesn't mean that it's a good idea. Doesn't mean it's right, patriotic, or ethical. And we need to get over the legalism, the bullshit, really, of saying, well, the First Amendment only restricts the government. The First Amendment and free speech are not the same thing. Free speech is a component spoken of within the First Amendment. You can have free speech without a constitution at all. It's just an ideology, the concept people should be able to say what they want. If they're not defaming others or threatening people in a credible manner, something along those lines, slandering one another. Other than that, who fucking cares? They should be able to say what they want. But it's hardly limited to just prominent Republicans. He's talking specifically about the concerns of a few hundred or so people lately who've said, hey, I'm on Twitter, I've got some stuff stuck in a quality filter. Some of the people, if you look at a list of people that have one of these particular kinds of shadow bans versus those that don't, it breaks down more along establishment versus non-establishment, or in some cases right versus left ideology, than it does actual content. Because some of the people that certainly do not have such a QFD shadow ban swear all the time, make innuendos, off-color political humor, the whole 9 yards, and some of the people that are under that filter are very, very tame. They're ultimately, they're like, Mr. Rogers ripoffs, only with an R after their name. That's what it boils down to. So when the New York Times or CNN come out and say, no, people aren't being shadow banned due to ideology, it's just a quality filter to help the user experience be better, that's bullshit. That's the cover story for the reason it's there. It's absolutely 100% a method of manipulating your reality. That's why I've told everyone in my audience, if you're on Twitter following me, turn off the quality filter. You're not going to get all my posts if you don't. That post can trigger some algorithm. Some robot decides, on Twitter there's no appeals process. It's not like on YouTube. On YouTube, if your stuff gets banned or gets sandboxed or something, you can appeal that decision. What are you supposed to do on Twitter? You don't even know which posts are triggering the QFD. You don't know which ones are shadow banned. The only way to see that is if someone were on an account with the quality filter on and one where it wasn't on, and they were going through and looking at all your tweets, I guess, somehow they'd be able to tell. Who's gonna fucking do that? Someone goes on Twitter, it's like, 140 letters or whatever it is now or less. You spiel and you have your fucking, maybe upload a picture or a link or something like that. And who's going to go through thousands of posts just to determine whether they've been shadow banned and why? They don't even know. The Twitter's not forthcoming because, in Ottman's words, it's not open source tech. It's very opaque. They're not forthcoming about their algorithm. What specifically do they ban? People were able to infer through various methods sort of the categories on YouTube with regards to restrictions on material. Restricted mode, sandboxing, but also just, the algorithmic side. Search feature, how you'd be ranked and so forth. It's manipulated. It's not real reality. Real reality was evident on a big tech site 10 years ago. There was really no algorithmic manipulation. What was at the top for recommended search or on recommended videos, what was trending, it was all very organic and straightforward. They decided that they didn't want certain kinds of videos, certain kinds of tweets, certain kinds of Facebook groups, whatever, to be at the top of those lists, and it was partially due to political ideology. Now, it doesn't boil down to Republican versus Democrat, conservative versus liberal. It appears to, but really what it's about is that people who consider themselves Republicans or conservatives at this point are the more libertarian crowd, the more irreverent crowd, the younger crowd, oddly enough in some cases. And so they're going to tell more off-color, edgy, out-there humor and things of that nature and make points that are anti-establishment more often because they're the outsiders, essentially. Especially sort of the Trump MAGA populist side of that movement. I would say, though, I'm a libertarian. I've never been a Republican or a conservative. I've never considered myself one. Ideologically, I align with the conservatives only on issues in which they happen to relate to monarchism. I would also end up looking far left if you fixated on maybe gay rights or environmentalism. The thing is, I still get that quality filter. Now, in my case, of course, I can swear like a drunken sailor sometimes, so I'm not particularly surprised. But some of these people, they don't. I'm going to assume that generally speaking, it's you retweeted the wrong story. Twitter didn't want you to, they wanted to cover it up. They're constantly knocking hashtags off of trending. They're constantly doing that. We know that that happens all the time. It's certainly not organically happening. Some moderator presses a button in order to stop it from trending and drop it back off the list so that it'll spread less. Happens all the time. It's self-explanatory. And these firms, naturally, they are going to have, as a whole, a political persuasion based on, hey, what is best for Twitter continuing to make money and be unperturbed? With Europe constantly pushing authoritarian censorship, big tech firms are siding with the American left over other groups in order to play nice with them and keep getting their European money. That's what it's about. That's the other big core of the world engaged in the internet at the highest level, other than North America, is Europe. They're the ones pushing the authoritarianism. It's people like Angela Merkel or the government of the UK. Ultimately, that's where a lot of it comes from. In fact, Twitter and all these other sites have to hire a bunch of new people now because of the data protection law over there. And that's one of the few things that actually has come out of Europe lately as far as the internet goes. It's a good idea. It's like, hey, you got to click through, you understand that our site collects cookies. We do collect personal data. Yeah, we might sell it to ad firms. You have a right to know that this is happening. With Americans, they're like, fuck it, we're not telling you shit. YouTube has begun to manipulate things further. Some interesting search terms that will lead you to a little wiki article at the top, and I'm sure that number will expand over time. Now, you should do more than just probe Twitter and more than just probe, hey, a few of my prominent Republican buddies are getting shadow banned. Yeah, it's further than that. People get banned. Bunty King got banned for an off-color joke. For I think like 2 months he was off Twitter. He's a fairly tame, like maybe PG-13, generally comic figure. He doesn't even do, like, he does social commentary and analysis and stuff to an extent, but mostly it's like random funny humor and stuff like that. He needs some gaming and shitting around. Now, Sargon's gotten banned multiple times. Sargon's just a liberalist, and in his own words, he's not far-right. He's not a conservative, as far as I can tell. Maybe on opposing radical feminism, I suppose, is considered hardline conservatism over in UK la land, maybe. But to American standards, and these are American sites, he's not particularly out there. He gets banned for, I guess, shitposting. I guess he got banned for sending gay porn to people who were actual Nazis, like literal Nazis. And so they don't like him either. And so it's just funny as hell. No, you need to go further, Mr. Trump. There are a lot of people being abused. The press, the concept of free speech extends to the general masses. It's not just, hey, I'm a corporation, we got a press pass. I've got a master's degree in journalism, therefore my right to express myself is somehow better than yours. Not the way that it works. I'll have to frame that in context of the New York Times, a stupid article about Facebook. That's about all. Peace out.